We have we don't quite have a quorum, so we can't accept any.
Oh, here's Stephanie.
Okay. Very good. So I'd like to call this meeting to order. And while while we're waiting for people to join in, it's called the meeting to order at 7:36 p.m. I'm going to read through the remotely conducted open meeting script. So as a preliminary matter, this is Aaron Vandestein, the chair of the Grafton Public Library Board of Trustees. Permit me to confirm that all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. Let's start with Doug Bowman.
Doug, aye.
Martin Essner.
Here.
Stephanie Texera. I know you can't hear us, but that's part of this exercise. Right. Maybe I'll come back to that. Let's go to staff members. Let's go to Beth Galloway.
Present.
Oh, great.
Yeah, I just need to go get water.
Yep.
But I'm here.
And Cindy Zariello.
Here.
Excellent. So good evening. This open meeting of the Grafton Public Library Board of Trustees is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12th, 2020, due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth due to the outbreak of the COVID-19 virus. In order to mitigate the transmission of the COVID-19 virus, we have been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gatherings, and as such, the governor's order suspends the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. Further, all members of public bodies are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order, which you can find posted on the town's website at www.grafton-ma.gov, allows public bodies to meet entirely remotely so long as reasonable public access is afforded, so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will not feature public comment. For this meeting, the Grafton Public Library Board of Trustees is convening via Zoom video conference, as posted on the town's website, identifying how the public may join. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and that some attendees are participating by video conference. Accordingly, please be aware that other folks may be able to see you, and take that care not to share screen your computer. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording. All supporting materials that have been provided members of this body are available on the town's website unless otherwise noted. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda unless the chair notes otherwise. We're now turning to the first item of the agenda. Before we do so, permit me to cover some ground rules for effective and clear conduct of our business and to ensure accurate meeting minutes. I will introduce each speaker on the agenda. After they conclude their remarks, the chair will go down the line of members, inviting each by name to provide any comment, questions, or motions. Please hold until your name is called. Further, please remember to mute your phone or computer when you're not speaking. Please remember to speak clearly in a way that helps generate accurate minutes. For any response, please wait till the chair yields the floor to you and state your name before speaking. If members wish to engage in colloquy with other members, please do so through the chair, taking care to identify yourself. Okay, finally, each vote taken in this meeting will be conducted by roll call vote. Very good. So Stephanie, can we just get a mic check from you?
Hi, can you hear me now?
Yep, we can hear you. Excellent. And so we have a quorum. We can get started. I know Dana wanted to join. Does somebody mind just keeping an eye on email in case she's having trouble?
She's texting me right now, so I'll keep an eye on it.
Is she having trouble joining?
It seemed like she was driving. She was just on
Oh, I see.
the finance one, so I assume she's going to be hopping up.
Okay, very good. Okay, so the next item on the agenda is approving of minutes from February 2021. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I make a motion to approve the minutes from February 24th, 2021.
Okay. Any second?
I second.
Okay. Motion made and seconded. Any discussion?
I'm just going to abstain because I wasn't present during the meeting.
Okay, very good. Well, I don't think you can abstain because we don't have a quorum.
Oh, okay.
So I think you just have to, I think that's okay. What do you think, Beth or Cindy or anybody else or Marty?
I think this is the first time it's happened.
We don't have a quorum to accept the minutes?
I think that it's not required that Stephanie abstain because she didn't attend the meeting.
Right.
If she viewed the minutes and has no objection to the minutes, she can approve. If she has objections, she cannot approve. I don't think the fact that she wasn't there precludes her voting on it.
Yep. I agree with that.
And
Okay.
abstain if you haven't read them yet. And if you haven't, then we can always table it till Dana arrives.
No, I've read them. I just thought that I had to abstain because I wasn't present. So
Okay, great. Okay, so motion made, seconded. Any more discussion? All right, all in favor? Aaron Vandestein, aye. Doug,
Doug, aye.
Marty,
Aye.
and Stephanie?
Aye.
Very good.
I will say that I'm impressed that the level of detail has matched Beth Patch's level of detail. So that's saying something.
Nicely done, Cindy.
Yes, nicely.
On to the bills. Do I have a motion to approve the bills? Warrants 36 through 39.
I motion to approve the bills 36 through 39.
Okay.
Second.
Motion made and seconded by Doug. Any discussion? Okay, very good. Motion made and seconded. All in favor? Aaron, aye. Doug,
Doug, aye.
Marty,
Aye.
Stephanie?
Aye.
All right, very good. Ongoing business, the MPLCP building program grant, Beth.
Construction just keeps trucking along. They've done a lot of accent wall painting, so the children's room is now teal and green, and our teen room is a fabulous purple that's actually called impulsive purple, and I could not pick a better name for a paint color for a teen space. They're working on laying tile this week, and I think carpeting next week or the week after. AMH is scheduled to go in, I think, still in a couple of months, but like they started prepping for that. They're finishing up on ceilings. There's a lot of millwork that's been completed. So when you walk through now, you'll see that there's maple windowsills. They've installed cabinetry in the staff area in the last month. What else? Lots of lighting. They're starting, I think appliances are maybe ordered. The biggest news is that Interiors Committee met last Thursday, and then on Monday, they met with the larger library planning and building committee, and both groups have signed off on the furniture and shelving requisitions. We were over budget for the combination of the two packages by $51,000, and Capital Campaign rode in like the cavalry and offered to make up the difference so that we didn't have to go back through and make cuts, even though we had prepared to do that. And the reason for the discrepancies were a couple of things. Steel pricing has increased and is, I guess, going up another 9% in the next month. And the bulk of our shelving is steel with a really nice, so that's priced out separately because that's a reimbursable for the grant. And then we're doing maple shelf tops and sides, some with slat wall display, to finish off that shelving and make it look less, bare and industrial, which is pretty standard, but the state doesn't reimburse for that. The shelving is comparable to what we requested. There's a little bit more because we did have more surface area. And we also opted to put some of that library shelving without end caps in spaces like staff offices, where that wasn't drawn into the original design. In terms of furniture, we did pick out additional furniture because, again, the footprint of the building changed. We noticed that in the original proposal for furniture, not all offices were outfitted with things like credenzas, file cabinets, shelving for the walls, things that we really need to have an office. To be fair, we might not have priced ergonomic desks that go up and down for the last furniture list either. So, that might have been an additional expense. And then we did pick out things like, we had a nursing room, but we didn't necessarily think 4 years ago that we were going to put a bariatric's the wrong word, but like a hospital grade nursing lounge chair in that space. We had called out for soft furniture in the children's room and always wanted to have an Eastern Woodlands theme. And by chance, Sarah found toadstool shaped mushroom stools in 2 heights, and really nice log benches that are all made out of a commercial grade, like a foam core kind of material, that are pieces of art, but are durable for public spaces that are going to look amazing in the room, but are a bit pricey. So, we didn't want to have to, those were things we could have cut. We also put in a lot of extra stools and benches, like flexible pieces of furniture that could be repurposed. For example, a style of ottoman that can be used as a footstool, place to set your coffee or laptop, or even for somebody to perch on to sit and talk to you, because we really wanted to have flexible furniture. Another major expense was making sure that our children's program room, had tables that could go up and down. So there's about a 10-inch rise that we crank by hand to make the tables go up. We also wanted those tables on casters so we could move them easily, and we wanted them to flip down. So that combination of features is like, it prices the table about $2,500 a piece. So those are some of like the nice things that we really wanted that we feel make the building unique, welcoming to people of all ages and sizes, and costs a little bit extra that we could cut if we really had to. And then the other piece was simply inflation. We budgeted a contingency into the estimate for the grant of 3 to 4% a year. So for the total package of furniture and shelving to go up by 16%, it's actually easy to say it's inflation over 4 years. The original estimate was 2017 based on a 2016 design. The bottom line is we were really judicious in what we selected. We picked things that we think will have longevity. There's, 10-year warranty on the material for these couches. We talked a lot I learned about double rubs, that it's how many times can you sit and then get up off of an upholstered piece of furniture. So we picked things that were attractive but had really high double rubs so that they'll last. So it sounds like a lot of money. It's around $346,000 for the furniture and $303,000, maybe a little more for the shelving. But again, it's out of a $661 package, it's $51,000 over budget. It would have been included under the contingency had we not had $2.2 million of soil remediation. And we're really excited to, sign off and do these quotes and get this stuff ordered so that we can move in June. It's looming faster than I want to think about, but it's exciting. That's the big news.
So I'm really pleased how this all panned out. So this is fantastic, and I'm glad that you didn't have to compromise, because why spend? You're going to have to spend the money anyways. It's not an option to either spend it or not spend it. You're spending money on furniture. You might as well get something that you feel is appropriate and really makes the library unique, and that's what we want. And now's the time. So that's fantastic that the Capital Campaign Committee was able to fund that.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, I was
So
just gonna,
just one more comment. So regarding the shelving, none of the dimensions changed in terms of like, weight for a dimension, because if something is heavier, we were discussing this when I was touring the library, right? Because they have to account for all the weight of the books and everything and all the furniture, everything that's going in. Is the shelving heavier than it was originally estimated for because there's more of it, or?
There's not a lot more of it. And I really feel like where there's more shelving, it's in offices against walls.
Mhm.
And it's not going to hold thousands and thousands of pounds of books the way that the stacks are going to. I'm talking about shelving for some of the professional collection, or board books, which are on the ground level anyway. I'm not at all worried about any additional shelving, or even filling those shelves in the next 20 years, because the building was designed to hold the full stacks at the end of 20 years. So I
Yeah.
think the library's not going to sink. It's going to be okay. Good point.
Great. Thank you. That's all I had. Dana, I think you had a comment.
oh yeah, I just wanted to say, we're not, with the capital funding, the capital campaign funding, we're really not over budget because we've been planning, this is part of the whole planning procedure. I mean, it might have, that particular item might have been, but we have enough funds. And I absolutely agree with Aaron and Beth. If we should get it now, it's going to make a huge difference. And I was just at the library today, and I would just say, I have to tell you, it is stunning. And it is exquisite. It's stunning. The coloring, the roof line, the roof color, that soft gray that Andy calls it, and then that beautiful beige instead of white. And the other thing that I think the other trustees are going to love is I got to see the large print room with the colors that will be in the historical room. And we chose those. You don't know, Beth. Were you there then? It was like it must have been like 6 months before we decided on it. So it's really nice that we're continuing with that because that's people's memory. So I just wanted to say that. It's so stunning. I think we're going to have chairs when we have some of the soft openings because people are going to need to sit down because they're going to be overwhelmed with how beautiful it is. They really are. It's going to be exquisite and people are going to come from all over. And I do think we might make a little bit more money from people coming from all over and using the library because they're not going to find anything quite like it. That's what happened in Northborough, I think. So anyway, it's so unbelievably unique. I can't really even express how happy I am with it. You could just see how much everybody worked. Beth worked so hard to make sure everything made sense and that we use the space as best we can and got rid of space when we had to. And then everybody else who made sure it all happened and, and designing it and all these every little detail is so well done. I'm just thrilled. I'm really, really thrilled. It's really exciting. I just have to say it. Sorry. I'm one of those people. But I will just add, I just want to say, Doug, I'm re-adding something and sending to you, but I will figure it out.
Okay, thank you, Dana.
Sure.
Any other questions, comments for Beth?
Yeah, I would just add,
say something.
in addition to what Beth said, that the furniture committee, like the interior subcommittee, I mean, the committee in general includes such a diverse group of people who all provided input and feedback on the design and the furniture, including library staff. I think, Beth, you said there was a teen group that contributed to some of the selections in the teen area.
Yep.
So it's pretty exciting too.
A lot of community input.
Great. Any other comments, questions for Beth? Cool. I did hear in the children's room there's going to be a tree. So going along with kind of the theme on one of the columns, is that right? Awesome.
It's sort of a tree. It's a loose tree. Mm-hmm. Like it's something that looks kind of tree trunkish with 4 branches coming out. I have not seen any concept beyond looking at the flat 2D schematic design that shows something that looks kind of like a windmill on the diagram. So okay. I think whatever the leaves are though will be like the greens that fit the scheme of the room that are in the rug and on the walls to pick up that accent.
Neat. Sounds fun. Okay, great. So let's move on to the budget fiscal year 21 budget review. And those of you who need to jump off at 8, if you can stay on longer, great. But you feel free to jump off if you need to.
I just want to say how great our new town accountant, Mary Lauria, is. I asked her, I think at the end of January for this particular report, expenditure report, and said kind of off the cuff, I usually need it the 3rd week of the month so I can get it to my board. She had it to me before I asked for it this month, which is awesome. So page 1, which you received by email as part of that call to meeting, is just an overview of our general fund, our FY21 expenditures. We're heading into the 4th quarter of the fiscal year, so we should be 75% spent of our entire budget by the end of March. And right now we're at 70.90% spent. So we're in good shape. We're on track, and I feel like every month I remind everyone it is a bottom line budget. We want to make sure that department head wages in the 2 wages categories, stay none of those go over budget within that grouping. That everything from energy to educational supplies, or I guess dues and membership, it really ends with dues and membership, that all of those can fluctuate. It's okay for some to be over and some to be under. And then new equipment is pulled out as its own, don't go over in the new equipment line. So we're kind of like in good shape in those terms. I will get with Mary to figure out why we still have these accounts at the bottom of the sheet that end in 999. Those were encumbrances that we made thinking we had bills coming in after July 1st this year that are last year's bills. So we overestimated and can return some money to the general fund. The next page is the total for state aid. We might have, forget if we spent some money out of here. Yeah, we have 112,000 banked in state aid, and we've been banking that in part because of the commitment to the capital campaign. But now there might be some conversation about taking some of that money out of trust fund interest, so we don't need to spend it all. Other accounts are our revolving accounts. We've had some really nice in memoriam gifts direct to the library in the last year. The Friends contribute $8,000 to $10,000 a year to the gift account, and then we make payments out of that for museum passes and for summer library program incentives and prizes. We have a lost book account. Usually it's a kind of a 1-to-1 ratio. If Aaron loses a book and volunteers to pay for it, then we just replace it out of that account when he pays us the money. Not to pick on you, Aaron. You've never done that before. The $140.46 is a leftover grant holdover that I keep forgetting to apply to an overdrive invoice for ebooks. I will make it go away, I promise. And then the last account on the list is our library materials revolving account, which was established so that we could charge for printing and faxing and copying, and then expend that money directly into the cost of toner and paper and the copier lease, and so that we could sell things people needed to get their library business done. We left it open-ended. It was so that we could sell earbuds and headphones and flash drives, and then recoup some of that expense. To be perfectly blunt, the town sets the price for printing, and we charge our patrons way more than it costs to actually print the item, which means we have some money banked because of those fees. And I think it's going to come in handy as we start to talk about FY22. My suggestion is, because we have so much state aid banked and so much revolving fund money banked, that we lean on those for the next couple of years if we have to cover some of our operating expenses so that we can put money into personnel. And I'll talk more about that in a minute. She sent me the capital project figures, in case anyone's interested in how much we've spent to date. A lot of money. And then these are our trust funds account. We have trust funds accounts that have expendable interest. Sometimes those accounts only earn $3 or $4 a year, and they might have been earmarked for a specific purpose. Like, I am donating $2,000 in honor of Beth Galloway, and with the interest, I want you to buy children's books. Well, if it's only $3.41 interest a year, we can't even buy a book for that price. So in my 8-year tenure, I've actually never dipped into any of these trust accounts. They are under trustee jurisdiction. So I would have brought to you requests before I spent the money to approve my expending any of that money. And I have not done that the whole time I've been in Grafton. The next and last page is the total amount of trust that we have, which we can't dip into that because that's monies sitting in accounts generating the interest that we can spend. I don't know a lot about the accounting piece of these trust funds, but if you have questions, I'm happy to bring them to Mary. And I know Doug has done some work in figuring out, which ones have restrictions and which ones don't. And do we really have to wait for the Wheelock Trust to hit $100,000 before we can draw on it? And then can we draw on it, or can we only draw on the trust? Like, those are questions I'm not sure of. But that's the overview of the FY21 budget for the year that we're currently in, that ends June 30th this year.
Thank you, Beth.
Sure.
Yeah, would you mind keeping that up for just a moment? I saw one account that's not expended at all. It said new equipment. How do we spend that?
I don't think was there any money to be expended?
It was like $750.
In new equipment. Hang on a second. I'm going to call it back
it's on
up.
like the first or second page.
Okay.
Because that's, I mean, you said you want it to be a bottom line budget, right? So you want
Yeah.
everything expended. I think that's a good opportunity.
Hopefully this isn't going to be sideways.
Yeah, we don't have to spend a ton of time on it, but yeah, it's just right there. It says new equipment, $453.
So it's $453 from last fiscal year. Do you see how the account is 1.610.65880.999?
Uh-huh.
So the 999 means that we thought we were going to buy some piece of equipment, encumbered the money, and then did not purchase it.
Yep.
And it would have been for something specific, so I can't spend it now. All I can do is say, close that out and give the money back to the town. We actually had zero budgeted for new equipment this fiscal year and for next fiscal year, which is also why I came to the trustees when we needed a new computer for myself and for Beth Patch.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just going to go away. We lost it.
Great. So I think perhaps I'll take it maybe offline with Doug, but I believe, and I'm not sure if this is on the agenda, and if it is, let me know. But just the commitment, at least for the banister or the glass railing for the new building, that was going to be expended, purchased from the trustee accounts. So I think we need to figure out of those trusts how much we can expend, and you don't have to answer that question, Beth. I think that's a good project for Doug and maybe myself, and just to figure out what sources we're going to fund that 125,000, so 27,000 for the railing, and then 100,000 commitment from the trustees. And we had talked about using state aid for other strategic purposes, right? And that's a little bit what you talked about during the finance committee meeting. But rather than just drawing straight from that state aid for the building, figure out how to do it with the trusts. So, okay. Sorry, Dana.
I just wondered, I mean, and I didn't, Beth, I didn't mean to say anything that might have upset you in the finance meeting. I missed the beginning of it. I just didn't, because they kept on talking about taking money from state aid, but they didn't mean that. They meant they meant a small part from state aid. No, what did they mean? It wasn't clear.
Yeah, it wasn't clear.
I
mean, I would never want to say anything bad about anybody.
No.
So please don't be angry at me.
No, I wasn't. I was just like, if you had been at the beginning, then it would have been.
I know, you know what is happening? I was sending something to
busy.
somebody, to a trustee who needed it because she thought she didn't have something and I had to make sure she had it.
Yeah. So do we have any more questions about FY21, or can I go on to FY22? And then I'll clarify.
Okay.
I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah, and the only question I have, so I get this. I mean, because it's good to have it in our head as far as all these monies that we have in these different trust accounts. Most of it we can only spend the interest, and it's not making any money, and we're not allowed to put it into one specific fund.
Yeah.
So it's really not, I don't mean to be rude, it's not that useful. Okay. I didn't know that.
Except it's up to $71,000.
But we don't know how much we can spend of that.
We can spend $71,000 is expendable out of the $258,000 that we have banked.
Oh, I can know that. Okay, that sounds good. I'm not worried. I know we have enough money. I mean, so that's good. And I didn't want you, I mean, we don't, and that we do have enough money, and that's why I don't want it to be any budget issues, and we should get what we need, because you'll regret it in another 6 months to a year, and especially when stuff gets worn down, because nobody's figured out. I mean, Beth, I didn't want to say anything in front of finance people, but I mean, quite frankly, if we get the circulation that we think we're going to get, even though we've designed the most efficient building we can, if everybody wants to come, what can we do? I mean, it's like we have to serve them.
Absolutely.
And we will make money from serving them because we'll get more money because we're going to have more circulation. So it will work out in the end, but that's just what happens.
Yeah. Part of our agreement for CW Mars is really not just that we share books and materials. It's, you walk in and it's like the Grafton Library is your hometown library, and the exception is those databases that are library card specific. Yeah. And everything else, in the first copy of everything gets shared. We could then buy 10 more copies we keep to ourselves, but the spirit is we share.
Oh yeah, we do. So you can't deny someone entry.
Yeah.
So, or use a computer, or talking to the the reference librarian.
Yeah. Yeah, so let me look at the,
And I think the businesses and everything are going to be in town happy. Do you know how many more people are going to be in the Grafton Common? They're going to have to eat. They're going to have to buy ice cream cones. They're going to have to get their hair cut. They're going to go to the post office. They're going to go to Cumbies. They're going to go to the country store. They are. They'll go to Bushel and Peck, and they'll go to that wonderful antique store that's there, and also quite fetching in Apple Tree Arts. I mean, that's the reality.
yeah, libraries are good for the economy.
And kids are going to be walking all over. These kids are going to go and buy food all over to those places. They are. They're going to walk from they're going to come from from middle school. I know they will.
And Dana will
high
be
school.
giving tours.
Yeah, we will. I mean,
Yeah.
In another year, it'll be interesting when we have this discussion.
I know. We're gonna need 2 teen librarians. Don't tell anyone.
I know we are. It's okay. Don't worry about it.
Start.
Hopefully no one will listen to this. We have to see what happens, Beth. Maybe all the stats are wrong and no one will come.
It could happen. So let me show you the, so I just got out of the finance committee meeting. So my initial request was $1.22 million. And Carter laughed at me and said, get it under $1 million. So I did. And he said, still too much, and took out the custodian. And then I came back with $959,000, and he said, you can have $887,254. And he put most of it in expenses, and I didn't get the staff that I felt I needed. So I worked with Evan and Mary and William and took Carter's number and just kind of massaged my expenditures so that I could put money into staffing. So this is my most recent proposal. It does depend on using some of our revolving fund accounts if we need to, for things like, I didn't budget enough for office supplies. Maybe. I didn't budget enough for program costs. Maybe. I said that we could fund dues for half of the staff who might want memberships to ALA and MLA and NELA. And maybe we would come and ask for state aid money so that Ms. Zariello, who is taking our notes for us, can get her $200 membership and become a paralibrarian. That because we know we're probably not going to travel realistically for another year. No one's flying off to conferences. No one's going to be renting hotel rooms. We're hardly even going to use mileage money to drive to meetings. But if we do, and we spend more than I budgeted, then I could, in theory, come to the trustees and to the friends and say, listen, Sarah has this great opportunity. She wants to go to the Association of School Librarians annual conference. She's wanted to go for years. It's never worked out. She did it virtually last year. The travel ban is gone. Can you fund a $2,000 trip for her to go to this important professional development opportunity? And then you will have the advantage of saying, yes, we would love to fund that from state aid, or no, we'll fund part, or she has to pay her own meals, or we'll only pay registration. And then she gets to make the decision if it's worth it. So I basically went through and tried to trim where I could so that I could take money out of the expenditure budget and put it back into personnel. And if I show you the person, you have this all in your email. I actually really hate to flash in a public meeting how much money everybody makes, even though it's public knowledge. So I'm going to, abstain from doing that. I will say that director and permanent full-time personnel are the same. The number differed slightly because I had figured the salaries at 53 weeks, and we only have to figure them at 52.5 weeks because of where the fiscal year breaks for next year. Part-time personnel, I wanted to make changes. I currently have, I think, 13 people and myself on staff and 2 vacancies. So I'm proposing that I take Jan Parisi's hours, and instead of hiring another awesome, amazing Jan Parisi, that I give 2 people, Allison Piccone and Ranjita Hedge, 10 more hours a week. Allison's already benefited, Ranjita is not, and if she can be benefited, Jan was benefited, so it's not costing the town any more money. Beth Patch resigned. She was a 30-hour employee, and I have been trying to get a teen librarian and a reference librarian to offset Heidi and Allison for many years. So I'm proposing we take Beth Patch's position, and I will give up the idea of having an administrative assistant that I desperately need much more. A teen librarian, 14 hours a week to work the 2 nights and 1 Saturday Allison doesn't work. And a 14-hour reference librarian to be at the other end of the building near the historic reading room, overseeing the adult stacks, the nights and weekend that Heidi doesn't work. The extra 2 hours from the 30-hour position would go to our Paige, who currently works 10 hours 3 days a week. to give him 4 3-hour shifts and get him to be in the building and shell for us one more day a week, which will free up staff from having to do that 4 out of 6 days a week, which is a huge help. To solve the trustee scribe issue, my proposal is that trustees would consider and hopefully vote to set aside a stipend not to exceed $1,500, 1500 annually, to pay somebody up to 6 hours a month to take on the task of attending your up to 3-hour meeting, taking the minutes, posting the agenda, doing the annual calendar of meetings and schedule of library closings, and complete the annual roster, plus any other miscellaneous duties like getting your conflict of interest sheets in, or maybe attending town meeting. So that's a direct, we can pay a stipend to somebody from state aid. You could either hire for this position and have it be under my supervision to hire and bring them on as a town employee, or we could offer it to library staff. It might be that Cindy wants to keep coming back and really misses all of you, and she'll work 30 hours a week at the library and can take on an extra couple hours, or somebody else might, here or there, so that we solve that problem. Sandia, who's been in children's, taking on lots of projects and tasks, wants a different challenge and asked if she could move to adult services. And because Sarah and I both feel really strongly that nobody should be in children's who doesn't really love it and want to be there, we said, yeah, if you want to try it, it's an opportunity with our blessing, absolutely. So that helps fill all the gaps that we had at the main desk that Donna and Heidi and Allison Kusher and myself used to jump in, and Eileen used to jump in and help out with. But now it creates a gap in the children's room. So I don't need to fill all 35 hours because we're trying to add hours to some of those children's room staff. So instead, I asked to create a 12-hour position and a 6-hour position, again, because we need to cover those nights and weekends. What I said in our meeting tonight was it could be that we end up with an 18-hour children's person or an 8 and a 10-hour position. I don't know how it will play out. But so we still we're going to add 4 positions and still have the budget stay the same by cutting expenses. We estimated energy. We think with solar panels, it'll actually be a little bit less than the estimate if we get our LEED certification and bonus, and that will bring the energy costs down. I had originally budgeted a lot for water and sewer, or we only paid for one of those, I think sewer. And I was assured that actually it's not going to go up as much as you think, even with the larger building. So you can have a lower amount in utility. Repair and maintenance, I tried to trim this down as much as I could, going on, wish and a prayer that we have a new building. Lots of things are under warranty. And if something drastic happens, we do have state aid money to rely on if we need it. And this is with the full knowledge that this number, will go up every year as our building ages. But also there's a $700 setup fee in here for next year to have Ransford Pet Control come and walk through the building so they can determine how much a month they're going to charge us for pest control. I can pay that $700 in June this fiscal year, and take it out of next year. So those are some of the changes that I made. We might not need any fire extinguishers next year because we're starting fresh with all new fire extinguishers when we open the building. Of course, I budgeted $200 a month for cleaning supplies, trash bags, all that stuff. As we were hashing out our meeting room policy, I said, what happens if we have, 500-person meetings every month? Like, eventually we're going to run out of toilet paper. So some of these are they're really, just to be blunt, they're unknown. And we won't have a full idea until we're in that new building for a full year of what it really costs to run it. So I probably lowballed it. We'll see what happens. I did get some assurance from the new town administrator that if it comes down to the end of the year and I'm short a little bit of money to pay the electric bill, we'll know that how we're doing by February or March before the items are due on the warrant, and we can ask that money be moved, because often our revenue projections are conservative and we do end up with a little bit of extra. For contracted services, I pulled out everything except the CW Mars membership, and I left in a license for managing remotely all of these new computers we're going to have. We may not open with 40 laptops to the public, but I wanted to budget for it just in case. And this is an example of an expense that could possibly come out of a revolving account if we're going to argue that that account is for things you need to do your library business and it's generated from printer and faxing and computer zip drive fees, it might make sense that if we generate enough income in that revolving account, we can actually pay for it out of, pay for contracted service, that contracted service item out of the revolving account. Same with rentals and leases. This has been at some points in our history a $3,600 line item, $3,700, because the lease was $3,600 and the mailbox is $100 a year. And I said to Evan, I think we can leave this at like $100, and it can be zero if the post office down the street agrees to do dismount delivery. But I think that the copier lease can also come out of the revolving account and be sustained every year. Professional and technical is for staff recruitment. I've only once in 8 years of hiring had somebody ask me to pay for their physical so they could get their work release, that they were fit enough to do the job as described. Most people have a good enough relationship with their doctor that they get in for a 30-minute visit and a low copay and don't need to bill us for it, so I took that out. Marketing is a place where I put in a placeholder and said that this would be another area I might come to Board of Trustees for. We traditionally spend around $1,000 to do some kind of incentive for National Night Out. And it's library branded and it creates goodwill and it gets people to our table. And then we also bring those items to our high school and middle school library card drives, again, to get kids to the table and start the conversation and get more members for our library. Conference and seminar fees. This was another area where I thought we can get a lot of things for free. And if there is something that we really want somebody to pay for, that would be another thing that we would say, hey, you think you could pay for that this year out of state aid for us? You always can say no. Communications is our phone lines. This is actually a number that I don't have an actual quote for yet. Andy was still working on it at the time of the budget deadline. So we know that we are doubling the number of extensions in the larger building. And I don't know yet how that's going to impact my phone budget. Office supplies, I made an assumption here that I can do a lot of purchasing with some of the budget money that's left now in this fiscal year and then bring it with me when we move in June. And that because one of the things that happened in the pandemic was we had to outfit all these staff workstations as individual workstations because of social distancing. I'm already really well set up for everybody having their own stapler and their own barcode scanner and their own receipt printer. So I didn't need to put that money into this budget, and that line was able to go down. And all of you who've been on the board, you're well versed in the fact that as soon as any one line item changes, our educational supplies and periodicals line fluctuates because by state law, we're required to spend a proportional amount of the budget on materials for the public. And it's traditionally been 15% because that's the category we fell into with our population. And when I called NBLC to say, what happens if we only do 12%? Do we lose state aid? She said, no, you would just get reduced state aid. Or you can stay open 2 more hours a week, which means either stay open until 6 on Friday and Saturday, or open at 9:30 instead of 9 for weekdays. And you'll hit that next service level, which will bring your required spending on educational materials to 13%. So I assumed we would be able to do that. The trustees would be the ones to set that ruling of the operational hours of the library. I think it makes sense. And I figured it at 13%. So this budget that I'm presenting meets both our requirement to grow the budget by an average of the last 3 years plus 2.5%. And it meets the materials requirement as well. The last 2 things on here are travel, which I already mentioned. We're not going to be traveling as much. And right now it's really like somebody ran to Michael's to get a material for a program that was at a more significant discount than anything we could get through the Mass Higher Ed Consortium or Combis. And now we have to reimburse their mileage. Or Eileen, who's driving from home to the post office, to the library, to the municipal center once a week, and wear and tear on her car. And then the other thing is programs. I actually only reduced the program budget by $3,000. Again, kind of counting on, we can bulk up on markers and glue sticks and no glitter and construction paper now and move it with us and start to use it for our summer reading program this year. And then have a nice attic stock, as they call it, for next year. We might have a few less performers or presenters and do more ourselves. We might also, again, come to the Board of Trustees and say, listen, there's this magician, we want to write a grant, Mass Cultural Council will fund half, will you guys put in the rest from state aid? And then you vote yes or no, whether you want to expend that money on this or not. And then dues and memberships, I already mentioned. So really, if everyone wants to be a paralibrarian who's told me they're interested, then dues and memberships is actually going to be $1,200 next year. And I only budgeted half because I do think it's a reasonable expense for the next 2 or 3 years for the board to pick up until we could work that back into our regular budget. And then equipment is at 0. So this is a minus 0.8% decrease in the library budget from last year, which I felt was what I was willing to do to really get the personnel that I need to staff this 26,000 square foot building and not open. I feel like it's better to open with staff at the desks than a reserve that we might not spend on, the electric bill. And I've been in conversation with various members of the board. Copies of this has gone out for feedback. It's now, in the hands of a finance committee, and Evan signed off on it. He said he was 72% sure that this would work, that if there is any extra after he finishes with everyone's budgets, he wants to see the library fully funded and not have to rely on state aid and reserve accounts, because the feeling is if you just do that, you might be out of money in 4 years. We don't want that. So he'll throw a little extra our way as he can, so that, we're not in trouble and scrambling for money. And so we don't have to lay off any of the new positions, in 3 years. I'm happy to take questions. I didn't mean to ramble so long.
It's okay. You kind of got halfway through it and I'm like, oh, should I tell her to hold? But no, it's fine.
I really want
I didn't
all
want to
of
be
you
too much like town
understand
meeting.
this.
Go ahead. Yes. No, you did such a great job with
Yeah.
this, and I'm really impressed. And it seems like you feel better about it as well. But I understand the stress that has gone into this. But certainly everything you've kind of described makes perfect sense. And, the only thing that, again, to kind of comment on what Dana said, and, and what you said towards the tail end about, with the finance committee, they said you don't want these revolving accounts and these state aid accounts to kind of dry up. But I think everything you've kind of shown me doesn't really indicate that it will, if we run, the way you've described here. Now, would you like some of those areas restored? Absolutely.
Within 5 years, is
Yes.
what I said.
Yeah. But I don't think anything that you've mentioned is going to dry up. All the things you mentioned that would come out of state aid money, perfect. I think we've funded those things before. Dues and memberships, if we had to pay a little bit, if people wanted to get certified. Programming, that you just didn't have budgeted, conferences, and I think having a scribe come out of state aid money is a great idea. But I'll certainly open the floor to anybody else who wants to agree or disagree, or other comments.
I wanted to say something.
Yep.
Yeah, so what, I know we keep on saying state aid, but that's only 1,500, right? And the rest is going to be from the gift accounts. And have we figured out, we're still working on where we're going to get the 125, correct? We think we have 71,000, there's 71,000 in gift accounts we can access, and then we have the actual physical state aid. Is that right? No, there's only the state aid.
No, there's 112,000 in state aid.
Okay.
There's 71,000 expendable in the trust accounts.
Okay, that's what I
And
meant.
then there's almost 30,000 in the revolving accounts, which is gift money, library materials, and lost books.
Okay,
And
well,
10,000 of the gift money is like the friends give us 10,000 every year, but there's sort of an agreement that we will use that for our museum passes, which is 6,000 to 8,000.
Oh, okay.
And any remainder for summer reading program prizes, because they're a co-sponsor.
Oh,
It's
that's
like
the
spoken
revolving
for.
accounts that you're talking about then.
Yeah, those are the revolving. So we know that we'll always get 10,000 or 8,000 from the friends, maybe 12,000 if they have a good year, but that it's kind of earmarked. And then we never know. The gift account is everything from somebody paying for printouts and saying keep the change, to here's $5, you guys were awesome today, to someone posting in the paper that their beloved passed away and they want memorial donations in lieu of flowers to go to the Grafton Library gift account. And then sometimes the family will say, and would you use it to buy books for the kids or computers for the kids or history books for, in the person's name. A lot of it is unrestricted and it fluctuates. It's dependable, but it's not.
So the money that we're going to take out for the expenses is out of the those trust accounts, the money
Out of the revolving accounts, gift, library materials, and lost books maybe.
You
And
said most of the
state aid.
30,000 you think you said some of that has to go to program. Some of that has to go to the museum passes.
Yeah. So it's spoken for.
So we
I'm
need like
estimating-
125, and then we need
Yeah.
whatever you need for us to give to the town, and we don't
Yeah.
know, and it might be 30,000, we don't know.
I'm estimating up to 50,000,
Okay.
29,000 from state aid this year because we're getting an increase,
Okay.
and then whatever else left from the revolving accounts.
Okay. So the state aid you're talking about, that's just the state aid for this year.
Yeah, we got a 40% increase because of COVID. So we usually get about
Okay.
$20,000. It's gone up. You're right. It was 15 the year I started, and
Okay.
it's up to 2021 now, and it's 3 separate grants. So again, if somebody from another community comes and uses our
Oh,
library,
yeah.
we get
So-
money for that. It's population. There's a bunch of
So we don't have, so of that 112,000 for state aid, is that 29 part of that?
14 of it is because we've only gotten half of it.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
you're not really talking about taking that. So you're not, we still going to have a lot of state aid monies left because you're talking about taking most of this money from the trust, right? And 1,500. Okay. It's just with the way they kept on saying state aid, that's why I wasn't sure. And I know how hard you've worked to build our relationship with the Mass Library Board of Commissioners, and we want to just keep that. I mean, that's why I said we got the 460. That was huge. We got that because of all the financing that we did in advance, and we did what we said we were going to do. We actually started the construction.
Yeah,
So-
and it will be up to the board to decide out of the 125,000 committed to the capital campaign, how much of that is going to be from state aid and a direct
Right.
transfer, or are you just going to submit bills and we'll sign off? You guys would sign off on those. The easiest thing for me, accounting wise, is for there to be a lump sum donation to the building accounts.
I think that's what
But
we would
however,
do.
yeah, however you want to work it out. But so you can't exhaust all of the trust
No.
expendable because some of it is restricted.
But
So we
you
might
said
have
there's-
71, but it might not all be allowable.
Oh, okay. So we
Some
have
of
to
it might be
figure
for
that
books.
out.
Yeah, some of it might be for books, in which case we're going to have great opening day collections because I think we do want to use it
Now-
for that kind of thing. And then the rest would be state aid.
The other question I had is, Unibank in the past has given money for computers.
Hmm.
And computers are considered part of capital expense.
Yes.
So I wonder, I may have a conversation with them because they could give us money that we would just use for the computers or technology, because that's part of the 501c3 mission statement. But I don't know if that would affect what they give you, but I will work on that. Because it just dawned on me it just dawned on me. And they give that like 2,500 every year, so.
So we have to apply for it.
Right,
And if I delegate to somebody else to apply for it and it doesn't get applied for, we don't get it.
right.
So,
I know that. I know.
yeah, so there's that. We're hitting it about every other year, in part because we have not just written and submitted a grant.
Okay, but I think we're just also not bleeding them dry, so I think that's fine. But I'm just gonna look into that. Because I just want to understand it better, because maybe who knows, they may be able to give us some money to us, the capital campaign, with the restriction that it goes for the new computers or whatever, and there's other technology. So I don't know, when I finally heard that again, I was like, wait a second.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, well, thank you. Thanks,
You're
Beth, I
welcome.
appreciate
You're
it.
welcome. So along the lines of computers, equipment is, like I said, it's zero for proposal for next year because I'm kind of going on the assumption that we will be outfitting the new building and all the staff computers as part of the grant budget with everything new. However, we don't want to then, if that costs, I don't know, $50,000 or $80,000, we don't want to in 3 years need all new computers, right, or in 5 years.
Right.
So we will have to start staggering that expense
Okay.
either as a capital request or in the equipment line. Like even though like I might have to buy, five or 10 new computers next year, so that I'm not buying 40 all at once in 5 years. And then the other piece that this budget leaves out is that I did negotiate a 14-year contract for a $20,000 ticket item, the licensing and support for the AMH self-check and security gates. So we don't see that in the FY22 budget, but that's going to come back as a new expense of $20,000 in FY23. So
Okay.
this budget has to grow by at least that much to accommodate that, plus whatever the elevator inspection is, plus straighten out all the things that were still unknowns when I presented it.
Well, we'll just be prepared.
Yeah.
We'll,
Yeah.
we're just starting. I mean, we're doing the best we can, but we'll be prepared. I think we'll be okay. We'll figure it out, and we can make more money as we go.
We hope. They did ask, you were at the budget meeting, so they did ask if we would have any revenue coming in from meeting room rental. And I said, we are working on a proposal for that, but I couldn't even begin to speculate how much and at what
Oh, no.
price. Yeah, but we have it in mind that, if we can find a way to offset, absolutely, we will do that.
Okay. Any other questions, comments on the budget? I think an action item for this board is one, figure out how much we can commit from the trusts, and also how do we make those monies available to the library, right? Because like Beth said, if a portion of it has to be for for purchasing items and it's restricted, then we need to help Beth figure out what's available to her and then make it available, right? So I think a goal for our next meeting would probably to work that out, and I'll take that on. I'll take lead on that, and I'll probably engage Doug unless somebody else wants to, feels very strongly. I know Doug's involved in a lot for the library right now, so I'm not sure what kind of time he can commit, but I'll ask him. But if anybody else wants to help dig through those trusts, certainly reach out to me.
And that would be, are you talking about specifically where we would be taking the 125 from? Is that what you mean? Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
And then how we would give it.
Right.
A lump
because-
sum, I think, would be great if we could. I think if we can do a lump sum and make it go from one town account to the other town account and not hit the GPL bank account, that would save us some money in the future. It may save us a bit of money as far as audit money. So we don't have to actually put that we know that we earned that, we're giving that, but we don't have to put it in the actual big account. So that may help us a little bit, especially the timing of it.
You mean the capital campaign account?
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's.
we want to bypass that
Yep.
is what I'd like to do.
Yep, I agree with you. Okay, great. Any other discussion? Thank you, Beth. I think you can, unless you're up next, I think you can take a break.
I can't even find the agenda.
No,
We need a glass of wine.
we have an IT update.
IT's great.
That's
Next.
great. Okay, next. Very good. Dana, the Public Library Capital Campaign update.
Okay, let me see. I'm gonna have to, a couple things, and I know we wanted to, basically, we've been working on, as you know, we've been working on the fundraising, and part of that is the bestowing of naming rights upon specific rooms. And so what we have for you tonight is 7 different, I sent you 7 different forms, and it basically lists the name, what's the name of the room, and then the location, and then information about it's going to be on a plaque next to the wall. Do you want me to read off each of those? I can do that. I just have to go get my list to do that.
I don't think that's necessary unless you want to.
I can just say it covers like the children's program room. It covers the historic reading room. It covers almost all. There's There's the group study, there's a local history room, the group study room that's opposite of that with the 10 seats. There's another group study room that has 3 seats in, another one that has 4, and another one that has 6 that it covers. All of those are included in that. And we have many more for next week, for the next month. So there should be roughly around 7. I might have missed one, but so we're just presenting that. And so as far as the campaign goes, we've been working, we did an outreach to select board. We're continuing to go and talk to former select board members. And also we have some loose ends to tie up, but I've heard some really good news. We've got some leads that we're working on that I hope within the next month or so we'll get a, we'll know what's going on. I don't think it may not go that much further. And then we're going to start I had a discussion with Doug about the PR campaign because I talked to Andy today. Andy and I went over all of the landscaping costs and other costs because we're just kind of brainstorming about how much money we have to handle everything. And we're really good. We have enough funds from our from what has been given for specific projects and other monies. So we're in good shape as far as what the trustees said we would help with, like that railing, which is actually less. Prices are a little bit less. So that's good news. But so I was going to say for PR, what I thought we would do is to start off, because right now the building looks beautiful to us, but it is still a mess. But we have beautiful outdoor pictures. We can take some pictures inside. And then what I thought we would do is do like a press release that we will send off to different publications. And I will basically tell them what we're up to and that we'd like them in the next month or so. I think Andy said he will figure out a time where we can get them to come into the building and it'll be really clean. We'll have it'll be much more, we'll have some of the flooring down, it'll look much better. And then they can bring their camera, they can take some pictures. And I'm thinking, well, if we're really lucky and that maybe happens happens in May or June, then I was thinking, because we might have to do some of the exterior work in the fall in order to save some monies. I was thinking, wow, wouldn't it be great to have a grand opening maybe in October when this other work, we have to do some of the walls outside. We want to do it after the project so that it's more cost efficient. I was thinking then we could have a huge event. And by then we're thinking the pandemic, most people will be vaccinated. So that might work out, because what I'm trying to do is create like a timeline so that the buzz is out there and we'll continue to get some of the big funders, and big is anything from like 1,000 to whatever. And then we also will get the community at large. And now we have to really figure out what that's going to be, which we're going to work on again. So and we have all kinds of ideas, so I don't have to get into that because we're just kind of in the infancy, but we're going to figure that out. Because at one point we thought it could be the furniture, but what we might do we'll have to figure that out. We might have the campaign give a good amount of the furniture. Maybe there's still something else there that we can do that might be a little bit more enticing to the public. So we're still thinking about that. And it would take that. One idea I have, I know is going to take a lot more work, but it's something we might do. But I haven't even talked to Doug about it. I just came up with my discussions with Andy. But we're in really good shape. And our goal is to do the best we can. And now we have our stretch goal and then an extra stretch goal. So we're going to get to the stretch goal, and then let's talk about the extra stretch goal, which is what Beth wants us to do. But she's only told me that in private.
No pressure.
So we'll figure it out. It might be doable. I think we're going to know a lot, like by June, like May, June. We're going to know where we're going with this. I mean, I think that's how I feel. I really feel positive. I mean, there's a lot of work to be done, but all the stuff we've been doing is really helping everybody. And I saw people walk by on the way to the Grafton Inn tonight, and they stopped. They stopped to look, and a couple going in, they stopped, and the husband pointed it out to the wave. It was like, I'm like, yay. So anyway, that's my news. If you have any questions, we have a lot more to share with you. And we've gotten most of the funding in. So, I mean, it's really spectacular. We're not waiting for money. The Friends gave us $35,000 They had a CD that rolled over, so they gave that to us. That was great. And we'll get the rest of their funding. And then everybody else is, some people are in payment plans, which we're cool on. But people are just doing what they said they would do. So it's going really well. And now we're just getting we sent out to everybody. Well, I had to remind a few people just because I know everybody's busy, got confirmation of exactly what they want on the plaques, their name and also what they want on the large plaque and what in correspondence and whatnot. So we've got all that on record, and I have copies and so does Doug. And we're going to use that for proofreading when we do the plaques and stuff. And we're still working on that. So anyway, that's what's going. So Doug and I have been busy, but we have a lot more work to do. But he's been doing a great job in the building committee and working with me, and it's been going really well. And we have Carrie Hogan and also Don Anderson, and then we've relied on other individuals who've done some behind the scenes work for us, and we've gone to a couple meetings with us. So and that may change too. We're going to start going out to businesses. So it may be a great time to have Beth come out. We'll see. We're going to figure that out. We'll let her know. So we may have different people for some of these upcoming meetings than what we've had. So I'm excited. I think we're gonna make it. I mean, that's my goal, and that's Doug's goal and everybody else. So we're gonna do our darnest. So pretty excited. I'm floored by how beautiful the building is. I am floored by the design and the elegance of it. I've seen a lot of buildings. It's beautiful. Grafton does a great job on its buildings. I love the fire department building, the public works building, and the new high school. I think that's beautiful. So I don't know. I'm thrilled. I mean, I would have liked a pool, but that's a lot.
That was a great update. Thank you, Dana.
Yeah. Thanks everybody. Beth has worked so hard. I have to my hats off to her, and so has Doug and everybody in the committee, and they've really worked well together and just kind of figured out how to make things work. And when you go through, we're going to have so many people that are going to go through that. Like I have people say to me, how'd you do this? And I said, well, it took 40 years. But when they go through it and they see the integration, I'm just telling you, they're going to be spellbound. There are going to be people that really get it. I really do. I know former trustees and a lot of these people around town that love libraries and love really beautiful, well-functioning buildings are going to love it. I have friends from Sutton told me when we built the high school, they said that looks like a community college to us. They said now, Grafton's the tennis town because of all the courts. I mean, stuff I never even thought of. Maybe we'll be the green roof town.
So one question, has the Capital Campaign Committee put a lot of thought into how, because it's crunch time to start paying for a lot of the things that the library needs. We're opening in, months. So have you put a lot of thought into how expenditures would work, for needs of the library?
Yeah, we're working with Andy on that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're working. That's why I met with him today, so he and I could go over some stuff that he's gonna. We're gonna communicate. We're gonna talk with Doug about too, and then we'll finalize it. And Andy gets most of the bills, so we will probably. I guess what we will be doing is sending it to some specific account with an earmark it for something. There'll be accounts at the town hall that will go for specific things within the building campaign. And we pretty much know what it is. And then we as the capital campaign we have to figure out how much money should we just give as a lump sum. And we as trustees, we have that $125,000. We said we're going to pay some money for it. There's some monies that's being taken out of that. So then we have to figure out, where do you want that money to go? Yep. And we could give it to the town, or we might say, well, you know what, we need to do X, Y, Z. So we have some decisions to be made during the next couple months. And so, yeah, we have a lot on our plate.
Okay.
And we'll know more as we get more money in. But right now we're in really good, right now we we've got we have, what we said we would have. And we know from that money's how much we're okay. We have everything we need, and we would still be able to give the town a big lump sum. So we're in good shape now. We can only get in better shape. And now we have more definitive pricing, which has really helped us. And we're also trying to think out of the box to decrease some of the costs. And I think we can do it without affecting the outcome, the look of it. So Andy's really great at that. And so we're working on that. So, and Doug and I are going to get a nice detailed memo from him. I had a meeting with him today for like an hour, and we're going to go from there. So we're in good shape, but you're right. We're right on that.
Okay.
We were just trying to get like one of the thoughts I had is just because the money came in, I wanted to say, let's just get everything, let's get from people exactly how they want things. So things are done right. So we're starting that. And then we're going to have to figure out a lot of people that didn't name a specific thing. I have to figure out how to get back to them. And we're working on that. And I'm going to send something to all the trustees because I know you've given, but you haven't all named, but you've given money. So we'll do that because I want to know exactly how you want it on that plaque that's going to be in the hallway. So
Okay.
we just
Yeah.
I thought that's easy. Get rid of it, get over it, and then move on. So that's what we're doing.
Excellent. So I had one more thought, but it escaped me. But anybody else have questions for Dana? Stephanie, feel free to just turn on your mic and ask.
Is there a specific tour for the trustees going to be happening soon? I know I haven't been there in probably.
I've been inviting people.
Now.
I can do another invite next week if you want. Do you want me to figure out when the rugs are going down? Do you want to make it soon? I'll ask Andy what's happening next week because I thought I'll ask him.
Okay, because the last time that I was there, the stairs were being put in the next week. So I know there's been a lot of changes.
There's a lot. Yeah, I'll ask him. Okay, I'll ask him when's a good time next week after 3, or he did one at 5 for us too. And let me know who wants to go on it because then if there's enough room, we'll have other guests come too. I just coordinated to make it easy for Andy, so not everyone's contacting him. So just let me know.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Great. If I think of it, I'll just ask you offline, Dana.
Okay.
I think I'm good. I'm ready to move on. Anybody else? Very good. Thank you very much. Let's see. So advocacy, I don't have anything specific for advocacy, but I'll open it up to the floor if there's any opportunities to advocate. I know we're in the library legislative time, and we discussed it briefly in the last meeting, but if you have any details or anything that you've seen come across your inbox, feel free to share it. Okay. I think we can table that one for now. On to Friends membership and update. I don't think they met this month, correct? Go ahead, Beth.
I think they did.
Yeah, they met last night.
Yeah.
Okay.
They sold 55 or 56 Book and Bunny pairs.
Yep.
50, yeah. Yeah. They were like
fantastic.
$13 a piece or $15 a piece. So it was a great success. They're meeting Saturday to pack things up and deliver them. They're taking in book donations for a book sale on Saturday, May 1st. So if you have things, get in touch with Carrie Hogan. She had a sorting day and is going to have another one. And
she has a garage full of books and stuff.
I helped sort. It was fun.
Yeah. They're co-hosting, sponsoring our community read, which is going to take place in April this year. And the theme is libraries because of our construction project. And the book they're reading is a Jojo Moyes book about, I forget the name of it, I'm sorry, about like a traveling wilderness librarian or set of librarians. And there's a kid's book and a teen book to go along with it. So Heidi's been working on the PR, and that's on our website. We'll be on our website tomorrow, I think. And the press release went out to the papers. So that's in process. It was a long meeting that went late, and those are the highlights that I can remember. Their next meeting is Tuesday, April 13th. They didn't want to hit school vacation week at 7:30. So I can forward the invitation if one of the trustees wants to go and represent next month. There's just a lot of like goodwill and enthusiasm with the group.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so
I told
cool.
them they couldn't change change that. They were like, we've been offered the opportunity to name our space. Do we like corner or should we change it? I was like, no, no, the signs might already like be printed. Dana's confirming for the wall, I think, but you can't change it. It's in the corner. It's a great name.
Oh, I didn't know you
Oh.
did that. I've sent that away. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
I said I
love
checked
it.
with Andy, but yeah, I was a little bit in a panic. Then they were going to discuss on having a different name for the space. So
Well, I was surprised when they said that, but I didn't know that because we're still working on some of those, aren't we? Doug, the names?
yeah, I'm talking like big signs, like
Okay.
yeah, and room numbers. Like yeah, the room numbers were completely separate. So yeah.
Yeah, like
Right. I was
directional
shocked when they
signage and
said they
stuff.
would consider changing it because it's in everything. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful name. I didn't want to say anything.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great. It's in the corner, and it's like so easy
It's
to find.
perfect. That's
Right
what
in
I
the
was thinking.
corner.
Somebody thought it was sounded like a bar, but it doesn't. It's in the corner, and it's kind of casual because you can sit down there and have a cup of coffee, or bring your salad, or chat with your friend and eat something, or
Mhm.
meet with somebody, and then go up to the library and do stuff together.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
okay. So,
Yeah.
but is all of that completely finalized?
All of what?
All of the different names, or just
For
some of them?
I was under the understanding that like all of the room signage is. Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know that.
I saw a list 2 months ago and made my final changes like that.
Yeah,
the
because there
teen
was
program
one thing
room
I
is the
didn't.
maker
Okay,
space.
there was one thing I didn't agree on. I know people don't agree with me,
Oh.
so I just think it's going to confuse things. That use services for that room where you do the laundry and you do all
Oh,
the
the workroom.
the workroom.
Yeah, I think it's children's workroom.
Oh, good.
Not that we're making children work in there, but
Okay,
it's
good.
really
And
the
there's no
staff
use
workroom.
services because people
Yeah.
thought that was a mental health thing, and it isn't. Okay, good.
Okay.
And
Well,
we
the public
changed.
will be
Does that
going
mean the nursing room was changed to the family room?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Great,
the
thanks.
teen program room is the teen and tween makerspace.
Okay, cool.
Friends are working on a banner that they can use to put inside, possibly outside the building, and bring places that says book sale, because they're planning to do multiple book sales where they won't have like as large a space for permanent display of things on sale like they did with Down Under. So there's a lot of discussion around the banner and what it should look like and making sure they have the logos that they needed. Trying to think what else. I think that's the highlights.
Okay. Thank you, Beth, for giving us an update. I think that, was it Doug or Dana, you attended the last Friends meeting last month?
I didn't attend the previous month. I didn't go to the one that you just discussed, right?
Right.
No, it was the month before last.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so it's good to have trustee representation. Is there a volunteer for someone to join the next one in April?
I mean, I'll probably go to it, but somebody else should come to it too. Because I
Yeah.
mean, that is really huge, this book sale. And it's going to be at the Mill Villages Park, which I am ecstatic about because that's in South Grafton and it's a beautiful park and it needs people to come down there and use it and love it.
They're
Okay.
gonna have 3 vendors. They're gonna they got
Yeah, I'm so
Anzio's
excited.
and the Gary, the ice cream truck guy,
Oh, good.
and Quite Fetching is gonna have doggy ice cream.
Oh,
So
great.
yeah, forgot about that. So you can go and eat and spend some time and sit on picnic tables and buy your books.
So I think I saw Stephanie volunteer. Is that right?
Yeah, as long as somebody can send me all of the information, I can go.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a fantastic opportunity for them to get to know you as well. Certainly, if you're campaigning for for library trustee again, it was always great because they were such great supporters for me to get nominations, and they're like, oh, we always love when you attend meetings. So it's a really great networking opportunity with the friends. So that's great.
And
Okay.
right before the election.
Mhm.
Yeah, and they might probably, and they're also, some of them are on the League of Women Voters, so they may discuss that with you, Stephanie, if you haven't.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Moving on, we're at 8:55. So, okay. On to the building and grounds. Anything to note about the current space, Beth?
One thing, I got a call and an email from the water district to say your bill seems really high. Do you have a leak somewhere? I have not seen anything leaking in the building, and I'm actually off site for most of this week. So I sent Paul a note to just check all the faucets for me, including any exterior ones that possibly might have been left on. But I can't imagine where else there might be a water leak from. I mean, we have no discernible, water on the floor in the kitchen or bathrooms. Nothing is dripping. No toilets are leaking. I'm
Yeah.
a bit stumped. So we're investigating it.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, you have the spring thaw, so it's certainly something exterior could have thawed out and just started leaking, or something burst, that wasn't quite shut off. I mean, you guys weren't, this is your second winter in the building, right?
Yeah.
So if there was an external faucet that didn't get shut off, maybe, I hope nothing burst, but
Yeah.
anyways,
I
okay.
mean, there's no basement and there's no wetness anywhere in the building to see.
Yeah.
So I don't know where the water would be going.
Okay,
Yeah, we're on it.
very good. So COVID-19 update?
There has been some new directives from the state. There is an official recommendation. I forget if it came from the Commonwealth, from Mass Board of Library Commissioners, or Mass Library System, that really we're not seeing any significant evidence that says people are getting COVID-19 from touching things and picking them up. Really, it's airborne. We can stop with the 7-day quarantine or 72-hour quarantine. 48 hours is sufficient. So I, always like to have your permission and enthusiasm to make some of the, it's a procedural change, but if you have strong feelings about it, I will certainly reconsider. The books take up a lot of room, and patrons do complain about long delays because they throw something in the book drop and it stays on their library account for a week. And then we delete the fines because we're fine free, but now they're calling us and saying, I returned that. And we say, yeah, we know it's sitting in quarantine. Or things come in delivery and we pull them out of the bin and you're waiting for it, but now we're sitting for 7 days. And we just feel like we can probably stop doing that. So I'd like to move to not, it wouldn't be exactly 24 hours. Anything that comes in Monday morning and Monday afternoon will actually get checked in first thing Wednesday morning, because it won't be a full 48 hours, Tuesday. We're not going to stagger the check-ins all day. We kind of want to do it all in one bunch. So can we make that change?
Yeah, I would advocate for making that change. I've heard that as well from the community, that sometimes, just waiting 7 days is a little much. And most of them are just like, it's kind of ridiculous, but it's what we were following certain directives from,
Realm
other.
project.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
yep, and that's what we're doing now. So I totally agree with that.
Great.
I do as well. I saw that press release, so
Great.
yeah, that makes sense.
I still have been telling people that my assumption is that we will not open to the public until we get to the new building, but plan on opening to the public with masks and social distancing when we get to the new building. That at first it might look like all the stuff to browse, it maybe is in the community room and people don't go further than that space. And then we can slowly, make changes and open things up. We are not planning on any in-person programming this summer, in part because we're just going to be so discombobulated with the move. And we have to do the planning now, and we're still not sure what all that'll look like. So next year's the summer program will be entirely online, regardless of whether we're open to the public or not. But I'm trying to get staff into the mentality of this is coming. We have space, we have ventilation, we have windows. It's been a long time. We have this amazing new building. So whether that's mid-July or August 1st, plan on it. And we are getting vaccinated, as we're able to as well. So. Yay.
How many staff have mentioned they've been vaccinated? I mean, can you share that or no?
Probably not, but I can say on a personal level, I got my first Pfizer shot Monday. And I'm really tired, but that's it, which makes me think, oh my gosh, did it work? So I'm scheduled to go back April 12th. But again, it doesn't really mean anything. I can carry things home to my family. So of course I will continue to distance and stay masked because they're not vaccinated. So
yep, that's a great attitude.
A little bit more peace of mind.
Yep, excellent. Okay. Any other questions for Beth regarding the COVID-19 update?
I do. Has there been any guidance from MBLC on when to open in person, or that next phase? I mean, I read that,
Yeah.
the note about the books and stuff, but I didn't see anything
Yeah.
about the actual library.
Yeah, it's coming from the Commonwealth, and MBLC is backing them up. I mean, they're saying, the governor is saying that libraries can be in phase 3 and phase 4. And Grafton Public Library has hung back because of our inability to socially distance. I don't have enough space at St. Andrews to put each staff member at a workstation and not be bumping into each other and sharing airspace. And then the other piece is, even if we reduce the quarantining, we still won't have a lot of room to be for the public to be moving in and around. So we, you certainly can say no. We can move to phase 3.
Well,
But yeah, the next thing would be phase 2, which is you can come in, but no further than a circulation desk. So that would allow people into the vestibule. Like, for what purpose? To just pick up their holds or ask a question. We can do it, if that's the recommendation. But
I was actually thinking as much about with the new building opening,
oh yeah,
if that timeline matches what the state is guiding us to.
yeah, the state is saying, I think, that we'll be in phase 4 by either the end of March or end of April, relatively soon.
I guess that's when
Because
the students go back. Yeah.
Yeah, because of so many communities being green, so many people getting vaccinated, still following masking and social distancing protocols. So yeah, again, I expect that we can reopen. I think we should still do it in phases and not just leap into phase 4. But yeah, it's a discussion for this summer.
Plus, aren't you going to be packing soon? It's March.
Yeah, well, so we've ordered the shelving.
It's April, really.
I know. So we ordered the shelving, or signed the quotes, the POs today for the shelving, so it can be ordered. When we move depends on when all the steel and maple topped shelving that we are ordering, because the funding got approved. When that arrives, it has to be installed, which will take a week. Once that's in, then we can start to pack up and move things. So Andy's been in touch with the moving company, who said, yeah, we're going to come back, but like, our summer is booking fast, so you got to let us know. I'm anticipating we'll probably be closed, like with no services at all, for most of June, or mid-June to mid-July, probably for a month, like we were before. As in, like, we're not picking up the phone. Hold on to your books. Don't worry that your library card expired. You can email us and we'll fix that. But yeah, we need to pack up the entire building again.
Now, Beth, you had mentioned making the summer reading program completely remote. How does that sink in with closing the library for a month?
We can still run it.
You can still run it.
Yeah,
okay.
and it's Beanstack, which people are now familiar with because they used it last summer, and for the winter reading program, and now for the new spring programs. Yeah, so it's earning virtual badges by participating in online activities, or in-person reading, having a reading log. We're also trying to, for part of the activities, to get that final piece of the badge, we're asking people to take a picture, so that we can post it and share it on social media, whether that's a photo of something you did or something you made. There's creative ways to get around if you don't want your face on social media, so that we can really have more of a showing and understanding of what it meant for people to participate. It's easy to say, yeah, 28 copies of a book were picked up for book discussion, or 28 DIY kits went out. But then what did they do? Did they actually make it? Did they have fun? Like, we just don't, these things kind of go out in a vacuum. So we've incorporated this, take a picture and post it and tag us element to it this year. Yeah, and it's starting June 1st, and it's going to run all the way through Labor Day. And it will be managed online virtually by children's and teen staff and Heidi.
Will there be physical rewards again, like the December reading program?
Yeah, they're going to bring back the traditional raffle that they do, where you're earning these badges and also earning raffle entries. That's all drawn electronically, and they're probably going to do community gift cards again this year. So you'll be able to enter at the end of the summer. If you don't want to win, or you really want to win the bushel impact or apple tree art, whatever it is, you can only enter for the things that you want to enter for. And the more you participate, the more chances you get to win. And then I think we just did a come and pick up your gift card, put money back into the local businesses. They're also going to bring back, they wanted to do some kind of an adopt a pet program. I'm not entirely clear on how that works, if they're going to be giving out like little animals and then you go online.
Tamagotchis? No?
No, they're like little stuffies. And then you adopted this giraffe, and you go online and you find out its story. And they're gonna do World Wildlife Fund voting again to pick from 12 animals. We'll see which 3 rise to the top, and then we'll, buy the plushies for those animals, and they'll be in the children's room for kids to play with when it is safe to cuddle and snuggle and share stuffed animals again.
Yeah.
They might be in a display case at first.
Yep. It sounds like a well thought out program, so I think it'll go out without a hitch.
And then Bead It, we'll try to bring back Bead to Read next year
Mhm.
when it's safe.
Okay, awesome. That was the COVID-19 update. Anything else for Beth? On to new business. I've asked the teen advisor to the board be tabled for the moment, just so that we can flesh out what that's going to look like. And then we can talk about it later. That was one of my to-do items. So with no objections, I'll move on to library hours. Okay. What do you have for us, Beth?
Oh, just so as I mentioned as part of the budget presentation, if we are open 60 hours a week instead of 58, which is what we currently are scheduled at, 10 to 9 Monday through Thursday and 10 to 5 Friday and Saturday. If we add 2 hours somewhere during the week, then we hit that next level for being able to reduce the amount of money we contribute to educational materials and reduce from 15 to 13%, which brings our budget down significantly. So my question for the board is, do you want to set those hours and decide we should be open from 9:30 in the morning until 9 p.m. Or 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Friday and Saturday? Or should we throw it out to the community for a vote to figure out how we're going to add those 2 hours in to hit 60 hours a week? Could also be that we're open Sunday for a couple hours. That would be another option.
Beth, is it possible to just do some sort of a community poll, or even just when people call the library or something? I mean,
yeah.
I wouldn't want it to be okay, whatever the poll says we will do, but I think it would be interesting to see what the general feeling is of the patrons.
Yes, my staff and I can implement that absolutely, and then report back next month.
Mm-hmm.
So the options are Monday through Thursday, 9:30 to 9 instead of 10 to 9.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Friday, 10 to 6, Saturday, 10 to 6. So I tend to gravitate towards the 10 to 6 because I don't know, I think a lot of people tend to use the library on a Saturday, and adding an extra hour on Saturday is great, as long as it's not too much stress on the staff to, be going right into 6 o'clock time. Whereas the other days of the week, they are already, committed to be there till 9 o'clock at night. So it's not so much of a big stretch. It's just an extra half an hour in the morning. The 4 days a week, Monday through Thursday, I feel is a little bit closer to town business hours, right? And there was kind of that discussion on, the town is open from 8:30 to 5, so why isn't the library open from 8:30 to 5? That kind of thing. So maybe it even makes more sense to do the 9:30 to 9. You know what I mean? And be open half an hour early. Anyways, like I said, I gravitate towards the Friday Saturday idea. Is there any other scenarios that you feel might work out that you can staff?
Open to suggestions. So.
Yeah. Because I feel like Saturday is such a big library usage day, and it's so short to be closed at 5 o'clock, like we are now. Adding an extra hour, maybe even adding additional time if we can spare it on a Saturday, I think would benefit the community. But
so it's just 2 hours a week?
2 hours a week is the requirement. We can choose to just keep the hours the same and operate at 58 hours a week. It will result in a reduction of state aid, not a loss and not a penalty and not a waiver, but they won't give us as much money.
No, that's what I was. Okay, so 2 additional hours. I I wonder what do people think about Friday night? Because I know a lot of times, you're starting to think about the weekend. I know my kids used to always say, can't we go to the library? My kid always thought the library was open Friday night. There's no way I'd have to tell him every week it wasn't.
Like
But
till
I was
9?
just thinking Friday might be good, but I can see Saturday too. Is that hard for them I mean,
Friday till 9 is actually easier for me to staff than 10 to 6 because all the
yeah.
full-time people are 35 hours. So it would be challenging and we'd be a little short staffed, but we could make it work. Friday till 9 would be amazing.
I think that
My
would be
staff
good.
will hate me, but
That's what I was gonna say, but because
Yeah.
I don't know, that's just from a young person's perspective.
Yeah.
But
We are
and
already-
Saturday's their weekend too, so it's whatever. But I mean, I think if you could do Friday for at least a couple hours, I think you need more than just 1 hour to make a difference. Because a lot of people might leave work at 6 and be able to be there by 6:30, so they can go Friday night. And then some might, be able to be there at 5:30. I don't know. That I think Friday's important. I like that, even if it's just 10 to 7 or whatever, you want to make it.
Okay. I saw Stephanie next.
So I think putting it out to the community would probably be a good idea because I'm with Erin. I like Saturday. I just for the amount of people that wouldn't be working or wouldn't be in school, I think that from my opinion, it would get more use. And maybe I'm wrong. You can absolutely correct me on that. I'm also just picturing like students, and if they have the use for the library for a report or anything, they are not looking at that on Friday night, mostly because they just spent all week in school. So the majority are not even going to start to look at like projects or working on that stuff until Saturday. And so that was kind of my thinking. And bravo to Dana for being able to get her child to do that on Friday night, because
They like to do it. But I just think my only thought was Sunday, I think we should wait for the future, because then we should do it more robust after we get the community all psyched up, and we'll try to get some help from local businesses as other libraries have done.
Oh yeah, no, I wasn't saying anything about Sunday, but Saturday. Sorry, Marty, I didn't mean.
So what time would you think, Stephanie, then for Saturday? 10 to 6 or 10 to 7?
Yeah, I mean, all the hours.
Okay.
10 to 6 or 10 to 7.
Okay.
But also I think that there, and I don't know about this, I would want to see, is there a increased likelihood that there would be any sort of programming done on a Friday night or like a Saturday afternoon or evening, because I think that that's always going to draw more people in. So what day is that more likely to happen? That would be good information for us to have.
Okay. Do you have a response to that, Beth, or I saw Marty next?
I did have another thought, and that's we had been opening on Friday night from 5 to 9 just for teenagers playing D&D,
Yeah.
which meant we had just 2 staff who would staff just the main floor, the main reading room. I would want consistency. Like I think we're still going to do that irregardless. But because it's like a closed program, it wouldn't really count as operating hours. I'm just like thinking out loud.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I wouldn't want to do it like twice a month and have people be showing up going, is this the Friday? Is this the Friday? So I think consistency would be key. Go ahead, Marty.
Yep. Go ahead, Marty.
I'm not sure that I like the idea of having a poll of the community. I think we're going to have to explain why we're doing this poll, and explaining that we're doing it because the town doesn't want to give us more money in our budget. We don't want to lose money from the state aid. And the way we don't lose money from state aid is by increasing our hours and buying fewer books. I think it's really a Hobson's choice in any case to have to open up more hours and not buy more books. Libraries are supposed to buy books. I don't like this at all, but it's the way we're stuck with it. It's the rule. I just want to go on record. I don't like the rule. To that end, I've always been in favor of weekends opening for libraries. I'd rather see the library closed on a weekday and open both Saturday and Sunday. I won't get that either. But so if the choice is to have more hours on Saturday, I would go with more hours on Saturday. Sooner or later, people are going to go back to work. And Saturdays, they're not going to be working. And I would hope that Saturdays would be a really busy day at the library as far as youth, teenagers. It would be a wonderful thing if libraries became a meeting place for early evening activities, and then they can go for pizza or whatever. I like Saturday. I don't like putting it out for a poll. I think it's too complicated. We can just make a decision like this on our own, in my opinion.
Thank you. And just to go along, dovetail off of what Marty said. Does somebody have their speaker on? I'm getting a lot of feedback. Okay, it seems to be better now. So what I did see in the past, and I'm sure you have other ways to calculate this, Beth. But what I always like to see, like on Google Maps, if you or Google, if you look up a local business, it gives you a neat little graph on when the busy times are. And not relying on Google for this purpose, I'm sure you have other metrics or whatnot. But obviously, that's blown out of the water with COVID. But I used to take a look at those graphs every once in a while about the library, and I could see, when the peak times are. So that might be a consideration to just do our, look at our data. Yeah. Okay, very good. Any other discussion, Karen?
I agree with what Marty said. I never even considered how we would explain to people why we were asking this. So very good point there. But Beth, like on Friday and Saturdays at 5, are you kicking people out back in the day?
Absolutely. And when we were open till 9 for Dungeons and Dragons, we consistently had 5, 6, 7 adults poke their head in just to return a book, just because they saw the lights, or they just assumed we were open till 6, because almost every other local library is open until 6 on Friday and Saturday.
Yeah, to me, that sounds like a good, just another good reason to lean towards the Friday or Saturday type thing.
Is this a permanent change then, are we thinking? I mean, would we do this? So we're going to see how it works as far as okay. I mean, I like more hours. I'm just saying if this is going to affect our ability to buy what we need, then I just wonder, that's all. I think more hours on Friday and Saturday is a very good idea. And having the kids come is perfect because they're there for the dungeons anyway, but maybe more kids would come.
Okay.
Or Friday or Saturday rather.
I've heard a lot of discussion, but I think we're generally leaning towards like a Friday and Saturday, and we're less apt to want to add more hours in the morning. We don't need to vote on this tonight, but I think this is good discussion, and perhaps, just food for thought. Think about how we might want to add at least 2, maybe 3 hours is what you're saying, Beth?
2. Just 2.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. Wow. I wish you had more. But okay, great. So thank you. I think we can move on unless someone feels they want to vote on anything tonight, but are we okay to move on? Okay. The next is the diversity, equity, and inclusion statement. Stephanie.
I thought we were tabling that.
Yep, we can table it. I think you mentioned that you had a copy that should have went out, but it didn't. Is that right?
Yeah, so I know connected with Beth, and I missed last month just and didn't check in with anyone. My grandmother passed away very suddenly, and so I didn't know about Beth Patch, and so sitting in her email somewhere is it. So I'll send it all out. It's what like the feedback from everybody, the proposed final, but feel free and make any comments. So that'll be sent out this week.
Okay, and direct any questions, comments to you?
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, thank you. Any questions, comments for Stephanie? Okay, moving on to policy review. Who's heading up the policy update committee at this point without Daniela? She should be back next month, I believe. Is she still part of the committee? Is she joining conversations? No? Okay.
I'll speak to it just because I
Yeah.
haven't. No, Daniela is not. Dana agreed to join us. We couldn't have 4 trustees without it being considered an actual
Meeting, right?
meeting. Yeah,
Yep.
there's another phrase, deliberations, that would be require the open meeting law. But Daniela was not going to join. Beth did a very solid first draft of meeting policy, and well as meeting room procedures, which dovetail in part, overlap in part, are entirely separate in part, having different purposes. We're revising that. We have a schedule of what we're trying to do to get things done. It's a tight schedule, but we hope we can make it happen. And short form or short answer is we hope to have a draft of this meeting room policy and meeting room procedures to the board on April 21. It'll give us a week and hope to vote on it on the 28th. If the board feels we're not ready to vote on the 28th, well, then we'll get kicked over into May. But our thinking is that with the library opening, community members might want to make their reservations for use of the various library rooms. Although something that Beth said earlier made me think about, well, given COVID, when are we going to be able to let people use the meeting rooms for meetings? Even with masks, I'm a little concerned. How many? I forget what 91 seat. I forget how many seats are in the large room. But if we do it at 20%, I don't understand how it's going to work. We haven't talked about it. But in any case, we want to get this done. My thinking is that it's probably a policy that's going to be read by a lot of people, because if people want to use the facility, they're going to have to read the policy. And we'd like to do it right the first time. It may have to be amended, but we'd like to do it right the first time, and we're working on it. That's the report. Open to questions.
So I think I heard two policies. One is the meeting room policy, which is if you were to prioritize them, right? I don't think you could, right? I think we need to both treat them with the same amount of priority. That one, the meeting room policy and the minimum staffing policy, right? So minimum staffing policy, I don't feel as it's not as a hot button anymore. Is that, or am I wrong, Beth? Because I think what I read in your budget proposal was that you're trying to meet the goal of the current minimum staffing policy.
Yeah, it was 2 per desk, but we really took it to mean 2 per floor.
Yep.
And the staffing proposal that I have covers 2 per floor and still allows people who work off the desk to get that off desk work done without having to constantly cover. And I sent out, we didn't talk about a review minimum staffing policy as any part of the policy committee meeting because we had already met to discuss just the meeting room. So I just sent it out for people to take a look at. And we should look at it just to see, like, is the wording correct? If it says 2 per desk, then we really mean 2 per floor in the new building, and we really might mean 2 per floor or in 1 floater, or 2 always in children's and 1 in teen. Like, it might alter a little, but I'm not as worried about needing to arm myself with it to go to finance committee to argue for needing more staff at this point.
Okay.
But
Yep.
I would say we do need to review that for the opening of the new building, right? Because it's a very different space.
Okay.
Yes.
So as an action item for the trustee board, take a look at that minimum staffing policy and recommend any changes to the policy committee. Does that sound reasonable? Okay. And if we decide that there's enough of it that needs to be changed, then we can vote on it at the it doesn't have to be at the next meeting. It can wait till May. But I like the way that Marty described it, as the goal is to have it ready a week before the next trustee meeting. If we're ready to vote on it, great. But that's the priority, because people want to start booking rooms. So if we find it still needs a couple of changes, we can always call a special meeting so that we don't have to wait till the May meeting just for that one particular purpose. So that's an option. Okay, great. Any other comments or questions for the policy committee? Great. On to the director's report.
Back to policy for just one moment.
Yep.
That wasn't quick enough to unmute. We will also have to look at bulletin board and art display policy before the new building opens. So that should be slated for May, June, vote by July, because we've got now some gallery space and lots of bulletin boards.
Are those two statements seem very different? Is it in the same policy?
No, they're two separate ones. There's a bulletin
Oh.
board policy, and then there's an art display policy. And once we moved all of the art display racks that's stacked and folded to down under to block off staff only areas, we kind of really didn't have any space to display art, and we just sort of shelved it. And the bulletin board policy, I think we added a business bulletin board and wanted to try and keep businesses to one location and community events to another, and still have, library bulletin boards for our own programs and events.
Yep. Okay. Doug, please.
Do we have a home or a list of the current policies? Because I know we used to have it on Google Drive, but those are all very old.
Yeah, it's on the website. So when you go to About on the library website, all the current approved policies are there.
No, I meant
So-
okay, those are the current approved ones.
Yeah,
Okay.
for the public. If you mean an archive for trustees to be looking at, not really, except that it lives on the shares drive of the town computers. I can move everything to Google Drive. It's a lot of files and revisions.
Well, I was thinking, I know at one point, I'm looking on the Google Drive, there was a policy review schedule, which have a list, and then the dates we're supposed to be reviewing those. Has that been updated, or is that just out of date?
That was not my role or responsibility to update, and I haven't done anything with it, to be perfectly honest.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, it just seems like whoever's I'm not volunteering, whoever's the policy committee chair, or whatever you want to call it, should manage that list, I think. Or,
Yeah, it was a scribe duty though.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we
Yeah,
can
so
think
so
about that for the future.
I managed to get all the current policies onto the website in PDF format with a date as to the last revision, and have not included like the art display policy that's just out of date and not relevant.
Okay.
Yeah, because there are policies like that too.
Okay, great. Anything else on policy, Beth?
I'll just suggest that our next policy committee meeting that somebody take the leadership role in doing that, updating the list or the roster of what should be looked at when, what we still need to add, that kind of thing.
Or
But
just
not-
or just add it to your next meeting agenda.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you if you added that library. Didn't we have a policy to do with the naming rights and stuff? Did that go up yet? I had asked you about that.
I don't know. If
Just
I
because we're-
look, then everyone can see my screen.
Okay, because we've just been sending out stuff to people
Yeah.
saying that, if you have questions, go to the the website, and I don't think it may be there now, but it wasn't a little while ago.
Yeah, I don't know if that made my last round of updates or not.
It might not have. So that's really pretty important because I did have somebody ask me a question about that. I can't remember who it was.
Oh, it is there.
Good. You did. I
yeah.
asked you to put it up there. Thank you.
Yay, I listened and did as directed. So it
I
happens
suggest.
sometimes. I'm slow, but so yeah, you can see it's alphabetical. There's all the dates, and let's see if the link works. Here's the name.
It's really cool because you can go to other libraries and see exactly what they do too. I had a lot of fun doing that.
Yeah, so it's there. And it was adopted 8/28/19.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for holding me accountable.
Wow, no.
Someone needs to.
The other thing I was going to say is, I know this is when I was looking at policies for the meeting room, I found that, and I will have to look at all of them again, but I found that our meeting room at 117 is really good. It's pretty good. I'm going to look at it, but I think we had a high number and some of them were just 90. So I wanted to say that. I think that's really cool. And I know we wanted it bigger, but I think we did great. I'll let you know because I thought that was interesting.
Okay. So we're right at 9:30. We're kind of at the 2-hour mark. And it was a late evening. Beth, can you run us through your director's report, please?
Yes, maybe. If I can find it. No, because my computer does not want to connect to the town server. Hold on. Here we go. All right. So it's March, and we're talking about February stats because that's the completed month we have. Curbside pickup was down. A lot of these things are down because it was a short month. It was February. There's less days. Curbside pickup was 633. Home delivery was 7 recipients. We tracked 252 reference questions and 304 staff placed holds. Added 541 new items. Issued 11 new library cards. Increased our YouTube subscribers, Facebook followers, Instagram followers, Pinterest followers, and Twitter followers. And I gave up on tracking wireless because I don't have a sense of who was using it outside of the building and what was just computers or staff phones jumping onto the network. So I didn't record it this month. Beanstack got a lot of views. We were running the last month of our winter reading program that had a Star Wars theme. We did 19 virtual programs, story times mostly, but also some pick up the bag or pick up the craft. And we had 456 participants, which is a lot for not having in-person programming. We had 16 museum passes go out as museums have been reopening. We've kept that museum pass page updated. I went to Tower Hill in March and found it really easy to make sure there was availability on their website, and then hop to our site and make the reservation, and then go back to Tower Hill and use the code to pay ahead of time and lock in my time slot, and then grab the museum pass and present it. They had me on a list at the gate, and I just got right in. It was awesome and beautiful. And then winter reading program did close at the end of February. We had 192 completed activities, 246 badges earned, 76 new registrations just in that month. And we closed in a pretty good place. The highlight of it was a Star Wars symposium. We had just 10 or 12 people signed up, and I thought it might be a flop and was really worried. And then we logged on, and almost every household had 2 or 3 people in Star Wars costume or holding their little toy, ready to hear a history of Star Wars and do the character trivia contest and watch some fun clips of Star Wars events. And they really loved it. And it's just a really sweet and fun program. Point of interest, the person who does it came to Grafton in July 2012 to do the program there. And he's the one who told me about the job at the Grafton Public Library and encouraged me to apply. My friend Peter Struzero. So, and he says not to make this public, but he gives us a really good discount every time we have him come back to do the Star Wars symposium. So he's worth having. I attended a lot of construction meetings in February, mostly around furniture. It was phone calls. It was in person to touch upholstery. It was a lot of construction stuff. Lots of hours reviewing and correcting and getting minutes posted from the last year. I think Board of Trustees is up to date finally. I've continued to manage and oversee COVID-19 protocol. Finished up the budget, which culminated, I hope, with no more hearings after tonight, and hopefully we'll just go to town meeting and vote in June, Saturday, June 5th, save the date. I completed our annual report. I couldn't remember if I had sent it out to the board, so I did include that. I'm not going to go through it, but you know, numbers are down because we had a pandemic and we were in a new location, temporary quarters while we were under construction. So it's not a surprise that, you know, everything declined for the year 2020. I met with Evan on site to give him a little tour of St. Andrews and to talk about some library issues. He had no problem with the library having different staff or operating hours from the rest of the town municipal building, and said that just makes sense. He was also very supportive of using any fees raised from renting out meeting space to businesses or private venues, staying in library coffers and not going to the town general fund. So we had a really good meeting.
Sorry, he said he was in favor or not in favor?
He was in
favor.
favor.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
we'll want us to keep that money, which is great. And he's been really great to work with. I attended the Friends meeting last month. Helped assist with promotion of that spring funder that we got the results for in the meeting last night. Teen Services bought lots of new books based on the ALA and Yellowstone Book Awards that were announced in January. Here's the total for the Star Wars Winter Reading Program was 76 participants who earned 245 badges. Children's Services has lots of partnerships you might not be aware of. They're doing an early music story time through Apple Tree Arts. They have a program with youth and family community partnerships, which is out of the YMCA, to do young scientists. They've been running book clubs. This month, Miss Kristen did a graphic novel and the book club filled, so she says she's going to do more of that. In February, the 1st and 2nd grade one was more popular, and the 3rd and 5th one was having trouble getting off the ground, so I think that's why she made the format switch, and seems to have been successful. Beginning of the month, we did World Read Aloud Day with custom kits and videos online to celebrate. We've continued to do lots of preschool and toddler story times, and Miss Sarah has been zooming into Grafton Public Schools preschool classes to do like mystery reader story time on one Friday. She does like 4 sessions one Friday a month, and it's just wonderful to be welcomed into the classroom like that and have that really great partnership. We're working on, so she's calling it a virtual school visit. Book Wagon, again, has been suspended from Crescent Manor. Our 2 volunteers are back and they're helping us shelve, which is great, and they've been through all the COVID training protocol themselves. I mentioned museum passes, books ordered, and then staff development has continued. Susan has been working to train Sandia and Allison Piccone in lots of circulation duties and bring them up to speed. Donna's been doing lots around Ancestry.com, and I got her to write a post for our blog about how she travels. She's a time traveler who goes back in time with Ancestry.com. A couple staff participated in the Novelist Day of Learning, which was a full-day symposium on Reader's Advisory. Sarah Bannister went to the Tri-State Summer Summit to plan for summer reading. Nothing got recorded for the S log. On the no log, there was a question, why must I wait from Saturday to Wednesday? Pick up my holds. You can't come today, she offered apparently, but I don't know what time of day she wanted to come. Generally, our policy is 48 hours in advance, because remember, staff are off-site scheduling and need that time for the on-site staff to get the message and pull the material. The complaint was Monday's a holiday. You said I can't come Saturday today. Tuesday's going to be a snow day, and Wednesday would be the next available day. Not fair. I said, we hear you. We're doing our best. We do make exceptions when we can, but it might have just been too late in the day from when we got the message. And sometimes we're just not able to pull the book and get it together. And, you know, if you call it 3 o'clock, we probably can't get it out and plan on you to come before we have to bring everything back in. And then we had a nice comment. We miss seeing you all. You're doing a great job managing all the book orders and endless email, but it will be great to be there in person once again. Yeah, that's my report.
Well done, Beth. I love the mystery reader programs in the school. I think Jackie was the first, my wife was the first one to be the mystery reader in my son's classroom, and that was so huge. They loved that. So I'm glad you guys are doing that too. And I know the kids love to have mystery reader back, and they get to see, the person on the giant, whiteboard in the front. It's great. The only other question I have for you is if we're reducing the time you're quarantining, does that affect your operations on when things can go out, or does it kind of stay the same? Like you just talked about the 48-hour thing. I mean, to me, I don't see it changing, but maybe no. Okay.
Yeah, the difference is you'll get your books faster in terms of I placed that hold and it took 3 to 5 days to get here in delivery. I don't have to wait the additional week to put it in my hands. It'll only be 2 or 3 days if I'm able, to schedule accordingly.
Do you have a lot of material that goes out from the Grafton Public Library to go to other libraries that you have to quarantine for a while? And now you don't have to quarantine as long?
We just did our delivery survey, so I put
Yeah.
that in my March report.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are sending out less material than is coming in. Generally, every year it's like 12,000 things go out to fulfill holds, and about 20,000 come in. If you want to give me a minute to search my email, I can tell you exactly how many in the given week in March that we did the delivery survey. It might take a minute. It's late.
I don't need to know. It's just one of those things that I just wondered if reducing the amount of the time things are quarantined probably facilitates getting stuff out the door.
Yeah, again, it's really more just about that. So we got 27 bins in for holds, and then we sent out 22. So,
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's all I can tell you. And again, it's really not going to necessarily make us shut that 48-hour window or bring it to a 24-hour window. But I will say, like, it's rare for us to say no. Like, if you call me and I'm sitting at my desk at noon and I happen to pick it up and someone says, "Can I come today?" I'm gonna go, "Yeah, give me 10 minutes because I have to go find the books, pack them up, check them out to you, print the slip, put them in the bag, and walk them out." But so it's an interruption, but we're almost always happy to make the exception for people. And you would only say no if there's already 60 bags out there and there's just not room to feel like we can safely put out another one because we're going to increase traffic flow. Or again, like it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. You said you could come at 4, and can we leave it out till 4:15? Like no. But next available day, absolutely.
Yeah.
Just happened to fall on a holiday weekend in this situation.
Okay. Well, thank you for addressing that. No worries. Any other questions for Beth on the director's report? Okay, so no public comment. Is that it? Very good. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, any second? Dana seconds, but we can't hear you.
I second it, sorry.
Great. Okay, motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Very good. Well, it's great to see everybody. I declare this motion, this meeting adjourned.
They have to vote.
Good.
Oh, sorry. All in favor.
Okay.
Aaron, aye. Dana,
Bye.
Doug, aye.
Karen,
Aye.
and Marty.
Aye.
And did I say, oh, Stephanie? Yeah.
I.
All right. Very good. Okay. We're good. Let's go.
Goodbye.
Good night.
Slap
Good
it.
night,
everybody.
everyone. Thank you.
Good night.
Bye-bye.